Hi, everyone. Dr. Hester here, and I'm just checking in with you all about the formatting for the annotated bibliography. So I'm scoring the first drafts, and I'm seeing a lot of issues with the way things are formatted. So I'm just going to create this quick video to review some of the things that you need to double check with yours. So first of all, with the cover page or the title page of anything that's APA or organized or following APA rules. You're going to have a page number on your title page, and it should be in the upper right hand corner flush. And you can look up the directions to this, but there is no running head. But up where you would have your running head, you're going to put in your numbers starting with number 1 on the title page. Then your paper title actually should be in bold. It's the only thing that's going to be in bold in the entire paper. And it should be just the name probably of your research question. Some instructors do ask for this to not be in bold. APA does say bold, but they do allow for colleges to have different rules for this particular thing. So I do think probably bold would be the best thing. And then this is all double spaced. The entire paper is double spaced except for this one area where you hit the space a second time. So you're going to double space a second time between your title and your name, your college, the name of our course, my name, and then the due date of your paper. So this is what your title page should look like. Everything is centered and everything is double spaced, but we have a second double space here. Everything is centered. Then when you get into the paper itself, the same title that you used for your cover page or your title page, okay, that belongs right here at the top of the beginning of your annotated bibliography. So notice we've got page 2 here, flush on the right. And then we have the same title we've used here. And it is also in bold. Notice that it's treated as like a title of a book, so the important words are capitalized. It is centered. This, again, has an extra double space. It could be bolded or not bolded per your university. Let's just go ahead and bold it. All right. This is one of the problems that I'm seeing. We start with our first reference here. Now remember, your annotated bibliography is a list of your references and then information about each one of those references. So everything is double spaced. And then everything is hanging off from the very first line. So notice how this is the name of an article, but notice how the name of that article goes onto a second line, and I'm going to indent it hanging just like I am the entire annotation or what I'm writing to explain what this is about. It's all lined up here. So the only line that's flush to the left is right here, where we start with the author's name. Now, I'm seeing a lot of problems with spacing right here, and that is because Word and Google Docs oftentimes will add a space. So I'd like for you to go through, and what you can do is just highlight your text and go up right here to where you have your, where you can choose your spacing. I've seen some actual single spaced things handed in. It's always double spaced. But I can visually see something extra is here. So I'm going to highlight just this area. And when I do, what comes up is, I'm just going to highlight that little area right there. There is an extra space here. Okay, it took me actually highlighting this space to see that I'm able to remove space before the paragraph. And you see how now that I got rid of that, we actually have this all double spaced appropriately. So check your paper, and it took me a minute. I had to highlight this and look here in spacing to see that there wasn't a way to add or remove anything. When I checked here, just here, I was able to remove some extra space there. So you see how now everything is double spaced. So let's, for example, consider that you may want a second paragraph in your annotation. So your annotation is what you're writing about the article. So what you would do is hit return, continue your double spacing. Your second paragraph doesn't start over here in line with the author's name. And it starts actually right here in line. Some of you are indenting it like you would a paragraph normally, but that is not how this is done. It seems very odd, but the second paragraph is lined up just like this. Okay. In line with the second line or third of the reference, and also completely in line with the annotation. So the idea here is that you can very easily visually see the authors. Now remember that your authors are organized in alphabetical order. The other thing I will say is that I'm seeing some issues with the references themselves. So I'm going to highly suggest that you go to citationmachine.net and then choose APA. So I've got citationmachine.net/APA. Now, let's say you're looking for a journal entry or a journal, okay? You can, if you have the DOI, you can put that in, or you can put the title of the journal here, or you can create a manual citation. This is the best way to cite an article. So I'm going to go to Google search and show you, let's see, I'm going to go to Google Scholar and I'm going to look up something. Reading instruction, K5 intellectual disabilities. All right, I found a PDF here that looks interesting. Okay, now notice it's given me the DOI. So I'm going to just highlight the DOI. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put that DOI right here into Citation Machine APA. I'm going to search, and it found one result. I'm going to check and make sure this is the article, Teaching Foundational Reading Skills to Students with Intellectual Disabilities. Yes, this is it. Now I'm going to cite it. Okay, so it's giving me information I need to check. This was published 2021, January 7th. The journal title is Teaching Exceptional Children. I'm going to continue. Hit continue. This is not coming from an abstract. This is coming from the journal. I'm citing the full article. I want to double check to make sure I have all the authors here. They've got Whitbread, Knapp, and Bingston. I'm going to look and see. And I have Whitfield, Knapp, Bingston. This is volume 53, issue 6. And we have volume 53, issue 6. And here's something I'm seeing. If you are referencing a journal, then you need to, an article within a journal, then you have to list the starting page and ending page of that particular article within that journal. So that's another issue I've been seeing with some of the things turned in. Now I'm looking at the title, Teaching is all caps. I want to double check and make sure that that is correct. Let's see. Teaching foundational skills. And yes, that's the way this journal is written. teaching is all caps. Now, obviously, I would have read this whole thing to be able to annotate it. I'm just showing you a quick example of how to get the reference. All right. And then if there's a DOI, it needs to be right here. All right, now I'm going to hit complete citation. And look what happened. It gave me the citation as it's supposed to be done. Everything is written according to APA. The name of the journal is italicized. So is the volume. The page numbers are there. They're not italicized. The DOI is there as a live link. And that is really important. It needs to be there as a live link. So I want you to think about the reason why. I'm going to copy this citation and come back to my example. I'm going to put this in as an example. Okay. So see how I'm making this all hang over. And I'm going to put a space after this to make this live. The DOI link needs to be live. All right, now, why? I want you to think about the reason why we give references. Because the person reading our paper needs to be able to find exactly where the article is that I'm referencing and discussing so that they can themselves read it. That's why all of this has to be so specific. And the DOI is great because if I just control click, it's going to bring me directly to the article. So that's why people love to see the DOI as a live link in as a reference or in a reference list. So those are the major issues I've been seeing. Don't forget that the annotation is supposed to give 3 things per our final draft that's coming up for how it's going to be graded. Okay, so there needs to be a really good explanation of the article and what it found. You might give some information about the type of research, if it was qualitative, quantitative, mixed methods, but really we want to know what were they researching and what did they find? Okay, this is information for me as the reader to understand why you think this is so important. Then the second thing is, how does this relate to your research question? And that needs to be very specific, and you're going to have to remind me as the reader, what is your research question? How does this connect to your research question? The point of a research question is that you're reading and finding information to answer the research question. So this is the part of the annotation where you let me know as the reader how this is important or helpful in answering the question. And then the final thing is explaining the credibility of this particular source. Go back and look at the CRAAP and find as many of those parts of that acronym as possible and be very explicit. This is a peer-reviewed journal, so I can use that as one of the reasons why this is credible. It was written in 2021, within the last 5 years. That makes it credible. And then you go through and give me a couple more reasons, if you can, as to why this is a credible source. You put all that together, and that is your annotation. Right now, I'm grading papers, and I'm seeing a lot of issues with just the formatting. So let's just take a moment and make sure that your paper looks like this. You've got number 1 here in your title. This extra space, I don't like it. I have not seen it this way, but APA actually does have you put a second double space here. Everything else is double spaced. The date is written out. Page 2 is written here, and it is flat out double spaced all the way through. Check for those extra spaces. Check to make sure you're not single spacing things. I'm seeing that. Check to make sure that your reference is written correctly. I'm seeing a lot of issues with this, especially journals. Your We seem to be, finding some great information in articles within journals, but not including the page numbers. And that is a huge part of that. So just keep in mind that the whole idea in referencing is so that a person, anyone reading your paper, can easily find the article. I should be able to click on the DOI, find the article you're referencing, take a look at it as I'm reading your annotation, and see in your annotation, again, a summary, how it relates to your research question, and the credibility of the source. So that's it. You just keep repeating this all the way down. And when you're done, that's the end of the paper. So in this case, there are 3 annotations. So we can get rid of this extra page, and that's it. There is no reference list given in an annotated bibliography. The annotated bibliography is like an expanded reference list. When you write your small scale literature review, you'll take each one of these references and you will put them in alphabetical order, and that is what you use as your reference list. So I hope this video is helpful. I'm giving everybody some quick feedback on the first drafts, but your final draft needs to be very specifically and very carefully organized in the APA format. That's a big part of what we're doing. And that is so, again, anyone can find what you're referencing. So I hope that this was helpful. I will post it as an announcement, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.